Welcome to the Jasmine Podcast.
In the massive, artificial intelligence saturated noise of 2026, there is this really pervasive myth out there.
Oh, absolutely. The myth that you basically have to be the loudest person in the room to succeed.
Right, exactly. The idea that you have to constantly hustle, constantly post, and, just shout for attention all the time.
Yeah, which is exhausting for pretty much anyone, but especially for introverts.
It really is. But today, we're going to unpack a sort of secret weapon. We're looking at why personal branding is actually an introvert's greatest advantage.
It is such an important shift in perspective.
It is. So welcome to the deep dive. And I want to say, whether you're navigating this incredibly loud digital landscape right now, or, maybe you're joining us as the learner working to master professional English concepts, we're just thrilled to have you here.
Yes, welcome. We're so glad you're listening.
And our mission today is to keep our pacing really deliberate. Right, we want to get the language clear. We are going to explore some complex career strategies without getting lost in, really confusing corporate jargon.
Which is crucial, because the source we're looking at today, it's this incredibly insightful guide called Personal Branding for Introverts. And it fundamentally flips traditional career advice totally upside down.
It really does. Traditional advice basically assumes the modern economy was built entirely for extroverts, right?
Right. People who just naturally draw energy from being at the center of attention.
Yeah, but this guide provides a roadmap for the quiet professional to not just, survive, but to actually dominate their field. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
How can a system that seems to mathematically reward the loudest people actually be a strategic advantage for the quiet ones?
Well, to understand that, we really need to look at the mechanics of the digital environment we are operating in right now.
Right, the 2026 landscape.
Exactly. If we look at the internet today, it's characterized by just an overwhelming volume of content.
Oh, yeah, a completely unmanageable amount.
Because AI tools are now universally available to everyone. So, anyone can generate 10 articles or 100 posts or 1,000 comments with just the click of a button.
Right, the cost of producing noise has basically dropped to zero.
Yes, exactly. Zero cost.
So when noise is free, shouting naturally loses its value. It just becomes this wall of sound that everyone is trying to ignore.
And that leads us to the core mechanism of the introvert's advantage, because artificial, shallow content is everywhere. Two human qualities have become mathematically rare in the algorithm.
And those are?
Authenticity and depth.
Oh, right.
And introverts naturally lean toward depth. They generally prefer to think really deeply and methodically about a single subject rather than talk broadly and loudly about everything.
Which is such a relief to hear, honestly.
Right. What's fascinating here is that the source suggests introverts need to stop viewing this quietness as a social weakness and instead recognize it as a powerful mechanical filter.
A filter. Wow, I love that framing. Let's paint a picture of how this filter actually works in practice for you, the listener.
Yeah, an analogy would be great here.
Okay, so imagine the 2026 digital landscape as this massive, incredibly crowded room.
Just wall-to-wall people.
Right. And almost everyone in this room is standing on a chair, shouting through a megaphone, just reading off these AI-generated scripts to get as much attention as possible.
Which is deafening.
Totally deafening. But the introvert is the person sitting comfortably in a quiet corner, having a genuinely fascinating, highly detailed conversation with just one or two people.
I can picture that perfectly.
At first, maybe nobody notices the corner, but eventually people get fatigued by the megaphones.
Oh, absolutely. They get tired of the shallow noise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they inevitably migrate toward that quiet corner looking for something real.
And the mechanics of that migration are what make it so powerful. The people who seek out that quiet corner, they aren't looking for a quick distraction. They are looking for substance. So by refusing to shout, the introvert naturally filters out the low-value, shallow interactions.
Wow. Yeah, it just pushes them away automatically.
Exactly. And it automatically attracts high-quality connections. People who value deep expertise will always seek it out.
This naturally brings us to a phrase the source emphasizes really heavily. It's a classic English idiom, but understanding its mechanical function in 2026 is absolutely essential.
Oh, I know the one you mean.
Yeah, the phrase is quality over quantity. Now, in a lot of traditional advice, this just sounds like a nice platitude, right? Like something you just...
Yeah, like, oh, do good work. But in the current digital landscape, it is literally a survival strategy.
How so?
Because quantity is a game humans can no longer win. An AI program can produce infinite quantity. It can flood a platform with generic industry advice all day long.
Right, you can't beat a machine at volume.
Exactly. So if an introvert tries to compete on volume, like trying to force themselves to be this extroverted content machine, they will burn out.
Oh, instantly.
And they still won't beat the machine. So quality over quantity means choosing to produce one deeply researched, highly insightful piece of work that actually changes how someone thinks.
Rather than like 50 posts that merely fill up a feed.
Precisely. Because the algorithm, ironically enough, is starting to adapt to user fatigue.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's adjusting.
Yeah. Users scroll right past the generic AI posts, but they stop and read the thoughtful, human-driven article. The deep content gets higher attention, so the system actually rewards the quality.
Which is exactly why the introvert's natural tendency to, observe, analyze, and synthesize before speaking becomes a highly valued commodity.
It's their greatest asset.
But let's look at the emotional barrier here, because I think it's a big one.
Okay, yeah.
Even if quietness is an advantage, the very phrase personal branding feels terrible to a lot of introverts.
It does. It feels really uncomfortable.
It feels inherently like showing off, It feels like putting yourself on a stage and demanding people look at you, which is just exhausting. So how does the source material suggest we overcome that mental block?
Well, the guide offers this really profound redefinition. It says that building a brand as an introvert is not about showing off at all.
Okay, what is it then?
It is about curating value.
Curating value.
Yeah. Think about a museum curator. A curator doesn't stand outside the museum with a megaphone screaming at people to come inside.
Right, that would be weird.
Very weird. Instead, they carefully select specific, meaningful pieces of art, they organize them thoughtfully, and they present them in a way that provides immense value to the visitor.
Curating value. Okay,
Yeah.
I love that. So as a professional, you are selecting the insights or the successful projects or the specific methodologies you've developed, and you are simply putting them on display.
Yes, you are offering them as a resource for others.
And by doing so, you naturally engage in another critical professional strategy outlined in our source material. And the phrase used here is to carve out a niche.
Ah, yes, to carve out a niche.
Let's break down the mechanics of this phrase for our listeners to make sure the English is super clear. To carve something implies a really deliberate, focused effort, like carving wood or stone.
Right, it's intentional.
You are actively shaping a space for yourself.
Exactly. When you carve out a niche, you are identifying a highly specialized, specific area of expertise that other people have not filled.
You aren't trying to be a general expert in everything.
No, not at all. You are choosing a very specific intersection of skills. The source provides a useful context sentence for this.
Oh, what is it?
It says, she carved out a niche as an expert in sustainable AI design.
Okay.
So she isn't just an AI designer generally. She is the specific person you go to for the sustainable aspect of it.
That makes perfect sense. Let's use an analogy to make the mechanics of this really, really clear for you listening. Imagine a massive public library.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
It's chaotic, and everyone is fighting for a seat at the big, noisy tables right in the center of the main floor.
Sounds stressful.
It is. Trying to build a generic brand is like trying to yell over everyone at those main tables. But to carve out a niche is like walking past all that noise, exploring the quiet back aisles, and finding a cozy, unclaimed desk near a specific section of books.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. You set up your workspace, you organize your specific materials, and you consistently work from there. Over time, the librarians and the other patrons learn that if they need help with that highly specific topic, your desk is the only place they need to go.
That perfectly illustrates the mechanism. You completely bypass the general competition.
To own your specific desk.
Exactly. You become the undisputed expert in that smaller, focused area.
Okay, I have to push back here, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because the theory sounds wonderful. But the reality of the internet is that the platforms demand constant feeding. Algorithms have incredibly short memories, right?
Very true.
So if an introvert only wants to carefully curate a few highly detailed things and they refuse to be everywhere all the time, well, they just disappear.
Yeah.
I mean, won't the system just bury them under the avalanche of daily noise?
That is the most common fear, and honestly, it is a very valid pushback. But the source provides a fascinating counter-strategy for this.
Which is?
You do not have to be everywhere to succeed. You just have to be somewhere that matters, and you have to let your work operate asynchronously.
Asynchronously.
Yeah.
Meaning not at the same time.
Right. And this introduces one of the most powerful concepts in the entire guide, the digital twin.
Okay, here is where it gets really interesting. A digital twin. What is the actual function of a digital twin in this context?
Well, your digital twin is essentially a highly articulate, tireless version of yourself that lives on the internet.
A tireless version of yourself.
Yeah. So when you spend 3 weeks quietly researching a complex problem and you publish a comprehensive, insightful article solving that problem, that article becomes your digital twin. Or when you record a clear, thoughtful presentation on your specific niche and upload it, that video is your digital twin.
And the mechanical advantage here is that your digital twin works for you while you sleep.
Precisely. To use a mechanical contrast, trying to constantly post on social media is like paddling out into the ocean in a tiny rowboat with a megaphone, trying to shout at passing ships to come to your harbor.
That sounds terrible.
It is, because the moment you stop paddling and shouting, you disappear into the waves. It requires constant, exhausting energy.
But building a digital twin is like building a lighthouse.
Yes. Exactly. You put intense, quiet, focused effort into constructing a solid structure on the shore.
Yeah.
You make sure the light, which is your specific expertise, is bright and clear. And once it is built, you can walk away.
You can just leave it there.
Yeah. You can go home, read a book, and recharge your energy in complete silence. Meanwhile, that lighthouse stands there 24 hours a day, sweeping its light across the water, quietly guiding the right ships directly to your harbor.
That is such a relieving concept for anyone who feels drained by the digital hustle. You put in the deep work once, and the asset you created continues to network on your behalf.
Exactly. It handles the corner conversations while you are completely offline.
And this mechanism is the foundation of what the professional world calls thought leadership, which is another vital piece of vocabulary for our listeners who are mastering professional English.
Yes, thought leadership is a huge one.
We hear this phrase constantly in corporate environments, but it often gets confused with management, you know?
It really does. Let's clarify the difference.
Okay.
Management is about directing people and processes. You're telling people what to do, but thought leadership is entirely different.
Right.
It happens when you are recognized as an authority in a specific field solely because of the quality and uniqueness of your ideas. You are leading the conversation, not necessarily managing a team.
And for an introvert, thought leadership is the perfect vehicle.
It really is.
You lead through your writing, your analysis, and your digital twin. You never have to stand on a stage to shift the direction of your industry.
Because your ideas are doing the heavy lifting. The ideas are out in the world changing minds while you remain behind the scenes.
And by consistently practicing this kind of thought leadership, you achieve the next key concept in our source material, which is to build authority.
Yes. And the word build is the most important part of that phrase.
Build.
Authority in this context does not mean having control or dominance over people. It means establishing deep trust and respect in your professional niche. And you do not acquire trust overnight.
Right. You build it brick by brick. Every deep article you publish, every complex problem you solve for a client, every thoughtful piece of curation you share, that is another brick in the foundation of your authority.
Exactly.
Over a period of years, that structure becomes undeniable. When someone looks at your body of work, they immediately trust your expertise, even if they have never spoken to you.
Which highlights the critical difference between attention and authority.
Oh, that's a good point.
The people shouting with megaphones are generating a lot of attention, but they have zero authority.
Well, yes.
But the introvert in the quiet corner might have very little broad attention, but they possess absolute authority within their niche. And in the professional world, authority is what actually leads to sustainable career growth.
So we understand that we need to curate value. We know we need to build a digital twin to serve as our lighthouse. But what is the actual light inside that lighthouse?
The core message.
Right. What is the message we are broadcasting? This brings us to the final and perhaps most technical phrase from our source material. A unique value proposition,
Yeah.
which is very commonly shortened to UVP.
Yes, a unique value proposition, or UVP. If we break the mechanics of this down, it is the specific intersectional value that only you can offer to a client, an employer, or your industry.
It's the answer to the question. Why should someone work with you instead of the 1,000 other people with your exact job title?
Let's make this really tangible. A job title is just a category. Your job title might be software engineer.
Okay.
But if your digital twin just says, I am a software engineer, you are going to get lost in the noise. There are millions of software engineers.
So how does the UVP fix that?
The UVP is where you combine your specific niche with your unique background and your personal methodology.
Give an example.
Yeah, for example, your unique value proposition might be, I am a software engineer who specializes in bridging the gap between legacy banking code and modern green energy technology, and I do it by creating highly detailed asynchronous documentation so my teams never have to sit through unnecessary meetings.
Oh, that is brilliant. I mean, nobody else possesses that exact combination of experiences and working styles.
Exactly.
Figuring out what that specific combination is and clearly articulating how it solves a painful problem for someone else, that is defining your UVP.
Yes. And the beauty for the introvert is that once you define your UVP, you don't have to shout it.
Right. You just embed it into everything you curate. It becomes the quiet, undeniable theme of your entire digital twin.
And building on that thought, having a clear UVP completely removes the anxiety of traditional networking.
How so?
Well, you no longer feel the pressure to walk into a room and try to impress everyone. You only need to connect with the very few people who desperately need your specific UVP.
Wow, yeah. Your quietness naturally repels the people who don't need it, saving you an immense amount of energy.
Exactly.
So, what does this all mean for you, the listener? If you are working to master the language of modern career development, these phrases, carving out a niche, quality over quantity, thought leadership, building authority, and defining your unique value proposition, these are not just vocabulary words.
No, they're an interconnected system.
They give you the exact framework to articulate your professional value without ever having to compromise your natural temperament. You can be deeply impactful while remaining completely quiet.
And that is the ultimate human-centric goal of the source material. It's easy to get caught up in the technical terms, but we have to bring it back to the reality of your daily life. The guide closes with a very grounding reminder about pacing. While the digital world of 2026 moves at an incredibly frantic, algorithmic speed, a human career is a marathon, not a sprint.
A marathon. It is a long, steady, sustainable race that unfolds over decades. It's not a quick, exhausting sprint where you burn all your energy in the first mile trying to keep up with the machines.
Right. Whether you are carefully mastering new language skills, whether you are managing projects remotely from a quiet cafe, or whether you are slowly building a professional brand from a desk in your bedroom, you have to operate on your own human rhythm.
Because if an introvert tries to sprint at the speed of an AI content algorithm, the inevitable result is total burnout.
Exactly.
You have to fiercely protect your energy. The digital landscape will always demand more from you. It will always ask for another post, another reaction, another hour of your time.
But you hold the power to decide how much you give.
You do. You get to decide to step away from the center of the room, sit in the quiet corner, and let your carefully constructed digital twin do the networking for you.
It is about engineering a sustainable professional life. You are utilizing these strategies to build a career that actually accommodates and protects your personality, rather than forcing yourself to change your personality to fit the loudest, most exhausting parts of the industry.
We have covered a lot of profound ground today, and we hope this deep dive has provided both clarity in language and highly actionable strategy for your career.
I think it really has.
We learned today that quietness is not a deficit you need to overcome. It is a mechanical filter that naturally repels shallow noise and attracts substance, authenticity, and authority.
Beautifully said.
So, as you go about your week, whether you're studying, working, or simply trying to navigate the overwhelming noise of the modern internet, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder.
Okay.
We know that silence acts as a filter. So take a close look at your own life and ask yourself, what is your silence filtering out of your daily routine right now? And what kind of high-quality, meaningful connections is it quietly inviting in?
That is a deeply clarifying question to reflect on. Your restraint is constantly doing work for you, shaping your environment even when you don't actively realize it.
Thank you for joining us for this uniquely paced, learner-friendly deep dive. We hope breaking down the mechanics behind these professional concepts helped you apply them powerfully in your own journey.
Thanks for listening.
Remember, you absolutely do not need a megaphone to make an impact. Build your lighthouse. Stay real, stay quiet if you need to, but always keep growing.